Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have a very special guest with us. We have Sister Shaira Pacas. Sister Shaira is from the Philippines. She converted to Islam about 5 years ago in 2015, and she has a very interesting story that she has been publishing about on her YouTube channel. By profession, she's a teacher, and she has a lot of experience in teaching various grades and various levels. So, Shaira, assalamu alaikum. Welcome.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Subhanallah, it's a pretty far. You live pretty far from where I am living right now, so it took a little bit of time to kind of book the time. But alhamdulillah, now it's good to see that. And mashallah, you have a very interesting story. I think a lot of people would be interested to know how you're dealing with being a Muslim, but also what triggered you to become a Muslim. Like, what was the initial event that happened that kind of made you start looking into Islam, and how did you end up accepting Islam?
To be honest, I cannot remember exactly how I came to to be interested in Islam, but yeah, just like what I said in my video, I just woke up one day wanting to change myself because that urge to change my that urge to change myself triggered when I was in college because we were living our lives like YOLO stuff like that, and I just woke up one day wanting to change my lifestyle until such time that I encountered Muslims during a seminar, and that was when I was in when it was during my junior days as a college student. And yeah, so that was, I think, yeah, I that is the only time that I can remember that I got interested in Islam when I attended that seminar, mashallah, about hijab and modesty. Yeah, so that was my story on how I came to be interested in Islam.
Yeah, so you speak about this idea of wanting to change yourself. I know even when I was in college and university, at that time, like we really look forward to changing maybe our look on life, maybe improving ourselves. What was it that you really wanted to kind of change that you remember? I know it's a long time ago, but what do you remember about those times?
I think I think the aspect of being, because if I were to explain further as to why I wanted to change myself, it was because I didn't get a lot of respect, I think, as a person when I was living that pre-Islamic lifestyle, because free mixing was really dominant. I was really What I mean to say is free mixing is just a normal thing when you're not a Muslim, and people treat you differently if you are not. In my own experience, people treat you differently if you're not wearing the Muslim apparel. Just in my experience, I don't know about other weavers out there, but it's it's my own personal experience. And another thing also is how the way I think about life. I mean, I didn't really had that kind of passion when during my pre-Islamic days. I didn't have, even though I was studying as a teacher, it wasn't really my passion.
Mm,
It was never my dream to become a teacher. I just studied it so that I can have something to do with my life. And then when I entered Islam, that was the time that I knew that this was my passion, to learn from it, even though I'm not good at it. I mean, I'm not that knowledgeable about our deen yet. I mean, I'm still struggling to learn the principles of Islam, but what I know is I am passionate about learning it. So yeah.
mashallah, mashallah. Yeah, that's actually very interesting. So, how about this aspect that you said that people treated you differently um, before you wore the hijab versus after you wore the hijab? So, I'm assuming it is kind of the life of the partying and the going out. This is kind of the aspect that you're talking about.
Yes, being to before I became a Muslim, actually, just like what I said in my recent video, the first episode of my aftermath of shahada, I I relay out there that one of the factors that affected me struggling to practice Islam when I was a new Muslim was my personality, because I wasn't used to, I wasn't used to the idea of being by myself. I mean, I
Mm,
didn't like being by myself, so I make myself too approachable and too friendly. And I
mm.
think if you're like that, people tend to respect you. The respect lowers down if you are too friendly or too approachable, because they would think that you're just this really extroverted person who just wants to have fun. And yeah, so that is one of the things that triggered me to change my life, because I didn't like the way I was treated by other people.
Oh, interesting. And then you speak about this in your videos. You speak about this workshop that you attended about the hijab, right? And I think you mentioned, if I remember correctly, you were the only non-hijabi there. Was that right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, if I also remember correctly, I am the only non-Muslim that attended that seminar, who attended that seminar because they were, wait, yeah, if I can remember correctly, I'm so sorry. It was very long time ago. It was 5 years ago, and the
yeah.
memory is kind of blurry.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then in that workshop, you did ask, I think, some questions about the hijab, right?
Yes, I asked about the if it's allowed to for a non-Muslim to wear the hijab, if it's not against their convictions, if I could wear one, because at that time I wasn't planning on becoming a Muslim actually. I, wa-
Mm,
I I was only attracted to the religion because of course its concept of modesty, its concept of respecting women, mashallah, and just elevating the status of women. And I like that idea. So yeah. So I started questioning if I could wear one because it looks pretty also.
yeah, mashallah. And then after that, I think there was something that really struck you in that the question of the speaker, right?
Yes.
Um, when I think the speaker said that, why are you wearing it, right?
Yes. He asked me. It's not the verbatim, but he asked me if why would I wear the hijab and for who? I mean, do I have a particular reason why I would want to wear that? And that got me thinking, why would I want to wear the hijab? Is there anything that
Mm.
I want besides thinking that it will look good on me? Besides the reason, yeah, yeah, mashallah, alhamdulillah for that seminar.
Yeah, that's the. And then what happened after that? So after this speaker made you think about it, what happened, and like how did you end up taking your shahada, basically saying or reciting the testimony of faith, which is, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah, which means that there is no true god to be worshipped but the one true god, and then Muhammad is his messenger. So how did you end up going from that workshop to accepting your shahada?
Actually, I after that seminar, I immediately started having interest in the holy book, the Quran. Yes, I wanted to read it because because I was attracted to Islam. So I started downloading this app, which I cannot remember the name. I started downloading it, and it shows the whole translation of the Quran without the Arabic, just its translation.
Mhm.
And I started reading it, and that was the time that you know, I was overwhelmed because I saw the names of the prophets that I was familiar with, which was Isa, especially Isa alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, the prominent personalities in Christianity. I did not expect to find it there in the Quran, and that got me really curious. And once I get curious, I really delve myself into the thing that I'm curious to. So yeah, so that was the moment that I decided that I want to become a Muslim.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay. So you looked into the stories of the prophets and the messengers, which a lot of them are mentioned in the Bible. And then after that, you decided to take your shahada. Was it kind of on your own, or did you meet somebody to take the shahada?
After I was actually in a coffee shop when I took my shahada. I just searched online how to become a Muslim, and I was expecting something complicated, like maybe I would go to a specific place and get baptized, pour water over my head and stuff like that. And then I found out that you only have to utter the shahada and with sincerity. So that's what I did. I searched online how to become a Muslim, and then I found out that yeah, the ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and I was in a coffee shop that time, and then that was where I proclaimed the shahada. Though I didn't pronounce it quite well, but after that moment I started wearing the hijab because I thought I was, I thought as a Muslim, kumbaga. I thought I was a Muslim already.
And then you speak about meeting what you called an ukhti, right? Um,
Yes, that was an interesting story actually. Because I was really expressive during that time at Facebook. I was starting to post Quranic verses. I was speaking my mind about what I feel about Islam. And then all of the sudden, this ukti reached out to me through Facebook and asked me if if I'm already a Muslim. To which I replied that yes, I am because I already proclaimed the Shahada. And that is when she asked me if I would want to meet with her. And of course, I said yes. And I don't know where she is now.
mm.
We haven't spoken for quite a while now. I'm not quite sure where she is, but
So,
that was what happened.
so this definition of the word ukhti, what does that mean? Like, I know what it means if I were to view it from an Arabic perspective. It just means my sister. That this
Yes.
is the literal translation. But does it have deeper meanings, kind of in the Filipino culture?
Ah no, it's the same with yours, sir. It also means a sister. Sister in Islam. We call
Mm,
each other ukti here if we
mm.
meet other Muslimas. Yes.
Right, 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 right. Huh. And then she took you on, and then you delve into this big story of her really wanting you to say your shahada again in front of some witnesses. And I'll let people kind of go through that in the videos, because they're very interesting videos that you have on your YouTube channel. But then after that, like when you recited the shahada second time, was there any sort of changes in your feelings, even in the first time? Like, did you feel differently? Was it emotional? Was it just normal?
Well, after proclaiming the Shahada, that was actually after Subu, after Fajar. It I'm not exaggerating, sir, but what I felt that day was really, I could not explain it, but I think it's like a spiritual euphoria, something like that. Because I literally went out of the house where we went to which I proclaimed the Shahada. I literally went out of the house, and it was literally a new day because I went out of the house. The sun was coming up, and I was fully clothed with the hijab. And then I've got this overwhelming sense because of Islam. All the things that I've realized and all of the things that I've learned. So that was, I think, um, saying that it was a happy day is not enough because during that time I feel like I could leave this earth with a smile on my face.
That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
that was happened. Yes, mashallah.
MashaAllah, that's amazing. I had another. You actually mentioned this when we were chatting about the idea of like having support for reverts in the Philippines. What were the challenges that you faced after reverting to Islam?
The first struggles that I first experienced when I became a new Muslim was, of course, dealing with my family and with my non-Muslim friends because they thought this was just a phase. Like I
Mm,
would, after this phase, I would just move on and stop doing this. But 5 years later, nothing has happened. So, yeah, and they didn't really quite understand what I was doing because, of course, besides the fact that they're not Muslims, they see me as a different person than who I am right now. I mean, they see me as this girl who just chills around and just jokes around and just likes to live her life, and they didn't really took me seriously before, which is why they were quite surprised when they knew about me reverting to Islam. So that was one of my few struggles when I was a new Muslim. Also dealing with my teachers, because um, they were under the impression that I was married to a Muslim guy, or
Hmm.
I have a Muslim lover, which is why I converted to Islam. That was one of the things that really ticked me off. That that kind of remarks, with regards to me reverting to Islam, because it sounds really insulting to my ears. But then again, I don't, I cannot blame them, because that is what they have witnessed in our hometown. I mean,
Hmm.
that is common in our hometown. A woman reverting to Islam because of a man, a Muslim man, such things like that. So I didn't really I just pay no attention to those kinds of remarks. Though it hurts, but it's fine. I mean, eventually, they accepted me. So that's what all that matters.
Was it a challenge to try to kind of express your identity, your new identity, when you were still new and you didn't know much about Islam?
Yes, it was actually, it was really hard, because um I don't know if this happens also to other reverts, but I get corrected quite a lot, which is why I address this struggle in my first episode of the Aftermath of Shahada. You know, reverts being corrected too much for
Mm,
practicing Islam in the wrong way. Like, if I were to give an example, there was this one time that I wore the niqab with color. I wore it with color, like I think that was maroon or something. I didn't really had a lot of choice wearing other niqabs, because that is the only niqab that I have, and I wanted to practice it. So I wore it in our school, and then all of a sudden, this ukti told me that I was doing it wrong. I'm not supposed to wear a niqab, and she told me that I was practicing a different kind of sect in Islam. So I was really hurt, because I didn't know that it was wrong. I only wanted to cover my face. And then also in praying, they tend to it's okay to remind you, but there are just some people who will, give you snide remarks about the mistakes that you make. And I don't know, I think I'm just being sensitive, but it went through my heart. But
you're
it's
actually
fine.
not being sensitive at all. That's one some of the issues that I see kind of dealing with converts as well, and it's very very difficult. It's very difficult because Islam is something that's supposed to be taken gradually. It's not something that is supposed to be enforced on people. And even the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that learn this religion and dive into it gradually, because if you pull really hard, then you will lose.
Yes.
And I don't think people really get that.
Yes, that's quite sad actually, which is why I am really trying to lay this out there, that gradualism is key. Actually, my second episode in the series would be about burnout, which I will
Mm.
talk about practicing. When you are a new Muslim, you practice Islam too much, and then all of the sudden you lose this eagerness and this flow, and then you get lazy and things like that. So inshallah, I hope I can upload soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm very interested in that, and I think people should listen to that, because there's no point of completely digressing 180 degree after you put all that effort, while
Yes.
maintaining it gradual. Was it that you experienced as well, like you felt burnt out after you went in very hard, and after how long did you feel that burnout?
Yes, after a few months, after I took the shahada, and a few months have passed, I actually felt that burnout, especially when I started to wear the niqab.
Mm,
Because when I went home after proclaiming the shahada, I actually didn't wear the niqab. I only wear the hijab. I had to take it off because I was so scared of what people may think of me. Because legitimate, when I say that people, you won't see. women wearing this, I am actually saying that there is no one. I think if I were to go outside in the town right now, I am the only person who would wear this. So at that time, I was really frightened of what people might say about me, which is why even though I was practicing the niqab in our university, I did not practice it here in our hometown
Hmm.
because yes, I was I was scared and yeah, that's all.
Wow, and then you felt that burnout, and then
Yes,
after
yes.
that, how did you deal with it? How did you deal with that
Uh,
burnout?
I also felt the burnout when I started to get too immersed with the sunnah instead of the wajib. I
Mm.
actually tried to learn more about the sunnah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but you're supposed to learn the wajib, right? Like praying 5 times a day, and the obligatory things that you should do. But yeah, I started to feel that laziness when I had the intention of learning all the sunnah so that I can refute to other people when they tell me that, hey, you're just a revert, you don't know anything. And that was not a good thing because I was not learning Islam in my own for my own sake. I was already learning it for other people. So I think that was one of the reasons why I felt the burnout because I had another intention. My intention wasn't good. So yeah.
That's very interesting. So you focused on the sunnah, which are basically the branches, the non-mandatory stuff, to try
Mm-mm.
to refute the maybe
Yes.
potentially born
I wanted
Muslims who were trying
I
to.
wanted to look knowledgeable to them, which is
Ah.
why I tried to learn everything in a short period of time, which is not good because it anything that you do which anything that you do that doesn't have the right intention will never be successful. And that's what I realized when I was doing that.
But how did you even go about learning all this stuff? Like, you know, here's my question for you. How confusing was it to try to learn these things on your own? Because I'm assuming you didn't have a lot of teachers at that time. I don't even know if you have teachers, like, enough teachers right now. But how did you not get confused?
Um, yes, I never actually I've never set foot to a madrasa before, like ever
Mm,
in my life. But um, I started learning Islam during my first Ramadan, where there is an ustad who gave me a module about how to read and write Arabic. And I literally memorized every single thing in that module. I don't know
mm,
where it is now. I think it is somewhere in our house. But yeah, that's what I did during Ramadan. I mean, I dedicated my time when I was fasting during my first Ramadan to learn about it. And a lot of people or actually donated books to me, so
mm,
I actually took the time to read them. Just basically it's the books are just about the basic teachings of Islam, like how to pray 5 times a day, the importance of fasting, the importance of zakat, stuff like that. So yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
also online videos,
Right,
YouTube.
right. YouTube. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you also speak about the idea of having a social stamina when you are a revert. So you're saying that in your town, you're the only person who practices the niqab, who wears kind of the full veil.
Yes.
And I don't know if you're the only revert. I don't know how many people are in your city. Maybe you could tell me a little bit more about that.
Um, And the funny thing about this city actually is even though there are Muslims out there, there are Muslims here, but we are not that big of a community. When they see me, actually, they still get surprised. Like it's not the non-Muslims that would only stare at me; it's also them, the Muslims here. It's because
Mm,
they are not too used in seeing a woman wear this in our hometown because this is a Christian community.
mm,
This place is dominated by Catholics, born again. Um, INC, I don't really know what INC means, but yeah, basically just everyone that has a Christian faith. And the Muslims here are, I think, a very small community. They're just in a specific place. And they're just a group. I think we are just a group here. And I don't know any Muslims here. I only know one person, and she is a teacher here in our hometown. And I'm going to see her later, actually. So, inshallah.
Oh, sweet, sweet. And so you guys don't have a mosque, you don't have a place for gathering?
We have a mosque here, but I've never really seen it with my eyes because I heard it doesn't have a second floor which women can pray. It's only
Mm-hmm.
for men, and I don't feel comfortable going to mosque that has only one floor, because that is where the men would gather around, talk, and yeah, I would draw attention if I were to go there. So I don't go there.
Right, right, right. You know, in one of your videos, actually, speaking of this, being in a Christian community, in one of your videos, the moment you start the video, you have this Christmas tree behind you, and then you also have your brother running behind you. And, I found that actually very interesting because that shows that your family did accept you as a Muslim, and you're living through this environment. I actually had, there are a bunch of other people that what they told me is that, and some of them are reverts into Islam from the Philippines, and they said that Christmas is such a huge event that it is unavoidable. It's almost unavoidable in any way. And if somebody tries to even avoid it or avoid part of it, they will stand out like a sore. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
can you comment on that?
That is actually true, because the Christmas holiday here in the Philippines isn't just a tradition. It's actually it has become a culture. So every single person here practices Christmas, because actually it has that kind of effect to a family. I mean, it makes the families gather when it's Christmas. Actually,
Mm,
here in the Philippines, and it's about gift giving. It's about Christmas bonuses. So yeah, so I think everyone has the luxury to spend gifts and just have fun during that time. So it's actually on December 25th. So inshallah, I could survive that day.
well, you've survived for 5 years. How was that like?
It was interesting. I actually don't remember much of my past anymore. I tend to forget quite easily. But yeah, nothing, just as long as nothing life threatening would happen to me, everything is well, alhamdulillah.
How about the challenges that a person in the Philippines might face with Christmas? What would you tell them?
With Muslims who are I'm sorry, sir, what was the
Like
question?
for new reverts or new converts to Islam who are from the Philippines, who, what would you tell them for the time of Christmas that, especially with their families, like what should they do?
I think if I were to give an advice to them, I would say, this is just a personal advice, sir. Yes, I'm not saying I am right, but I would say, don't celebrate Christmas with, that feeling of, how do I say this? What I mean to say is, don't isolate yourself too much with your family, because um, or whatever we do, we are still being having a non-Muslim family will always be in our shoulders, kumbaga. And yeah, don't isolate yourself too much from your family, because that is the time that they will see you as a completely different person, and you will have a hard time inviting them to your deen. So inshallah, just avoid the things that Islam tells you to avoid. But with regards to dealing with your family during holidays, just go along with the flow. Don't think too much about, you know, the haram and halal stuff. Just as long as you don't do the haram, that's fine.
Right, 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 right. And now what's next for you? Like, I know you're recording some of those YouTube videos. Like right now you've been a Muslim for 5 years. What is next for Shaira?
Besides law school, I am actually studying law right now.
MashaAllah.
Yes, and though due to the pandemic, our learning system has deteriorated a little bit. We don't have a lot of classes, which is why I had the opportunity to upload videos on YouTube. But besides that, besides finding a job, also anything that is self-sustaining, I would continue. I will focus on my series because I really want to just make it a goal to inform others about what it's like to be a Muslim revert here in the Philippines. Inshallah.
Inshallah, that sounds very exciting. You have a busy life ahead of you. I Do you have a kind of from this is like on the law side, you're studying at university. How about like for your personal growth? Do you have any plans for that, whether in the Islamic field or in in other aspects of kind of self-development and growth?
Honestly, sir, I cannot tell, especially right now because we have a pandemic, and I don't really know when I can travel. I actually have a plan to enroll myself in MSU Marawi, training for the Sharia bar. That is
Mm,
actually what I want to do. But with the pandemic, it's quite hard to move around right now. So as of now, I am focusing on my Sharia law subject because that is a requirement for taking the bar. And inshallah, I hope I could, be successful on that field with regards to learning Islam academically speaking, and I actually have to undergo first the basic Arabic school. So maybe I still have to think about it because I'm quite shy to enroll myself in a madrasa right now because I know my classmates will be kids because I was taught at the very beginning. So that is one of my concern as to why um, I'm hesitant to enroll in a madrasa here because there is also a language barrier. I mean, the majority of the Muslims here are Maranaos, meaning it's a tribe here in the Philippines which speaks a different language. So that is also one of my concern why I'm hesitant to enroll myself in kumbaga, how do you call that, in an Islamic school? Yes.
mm.
Mm-mm.
And have you tried kind of the online path, or is that something that's a bit of a challenge?
Yes, I'm actually that is what I'm trying to do, especially now that I have a lot of time. Yeah, just like I said earlier, I am learning our Muslim code here in the Philippines. I'm trying to familiarize myself with the Sharia law here in the Philippines because we don't have penal laws actually in Sharia here. We only have the family code, which
Mm.
tackles divorce, marriages, adoption. I'm sorry, and inheritance, stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna focus myself more on that.
On the penal law.
I know not in the penal laws because there's no penal laws here in the Philippines, only the family code, which
Oh, okay.
deals with
Yep.
marriages, divorces, inheritance, yeah, things like that. So inshallah.
MashaAllah, that should keep you busy for a very long time. The penal
Yes,
law is very, very, very small in the Sharia, but all the other law, the family law, and
yes.
the
I've heard
inheritance, that's massive.
that's what they say actually, especially inheritance.
Yep.
Yeah, it will be a challenge, but inshallah I can learn it.
It's mathematical, so I think you will pick it up.
Yes.
I'll pick it up.
No, I don't think so.
MashaAllah, may Allah make it easy for you. I
I
really
mean,
appreciate that you decided to come on this interview, and I think a lot of people would enjoy listening to your story. And I really encourage everybody who is seeing this interview to follow the social links, the social media links that we'll put in the description for your channel, and kind of just provide that support and learn what it's like to become a Muslim. What are the challenges that new reverts face, and just kind of take it easy on people, especially new reverts.
yes,
Um,
inshallah.
inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan. I really appreciate this, and inshallah.
وإياك جزاك الله خيرا.
Wa iyyakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام.